Have you ever met someone who seems naturally smart? The student who understands everything faster. The person who remembers details nobody else notices. The friend who always has the right answer. And maybe you've thought some people are just born intelligent. I used to believe that too. But the more I studied psychology, neuroscience, and the habits of high performers, the more I realized something surprising. Many of the people we call geniuses aren't operating with a completely different brain. They're operating with a better trained brain, and that's good news. Because it means intelligence isn't something you either have or don't have, it's something you build. In fact, one of the most important discoveries in modern psychology came from researcher Carol Dweck. She found that people who believe their abilities can improve tend to perform better over time than those who believe their intelligence is fixed. Why? Because when you believe growth is possible, you keep learning. When you believe you're stuck with what you have, you stop trying, and that's where most people lose, not because they lack intelligence, because they stop developing it. So, today let's talk about how highly intelligent people actually train their minds, not through magic, not through genetics, but through habits almost anyone can learn. The first habit is something psychologists call deep curiosity. Most people consume information, smart people chase understanding. Think about a child, they ask questions constantly. Why is the sky blue? Why do birds fly? Why does this work? Genius level thinkers never completely lose that habit. When they learn something new, they don't stop at the surface. They ask why, how, what causes that, what would happen if it were different. Albert Einstein once said that he had no special talents, he was only passionately curious. Whether or not that was completely true, the lesson remains powerful. Curiosity is a mental superpower. The more questions you ask, the stronger your thinking becomes. The second habit is active learning. Here's a mistake most students make. They read something, highlight it, read it again, and assume they're learning. But research consistently shows that passive review is one of the least effective ways to remember information. The people who learn fastest do something different. They test themselves. They explain concepts in their own words. They challenge their memory. This idea appears in learning research and in books like Make It Stick. The brain grows stronger when it has to retrieve information, not when it simply sees it again. That's why the smartest students often spend less time reading and more time recalling. Instead of asking, "Did I read this?" they ask, "Can I explain this without looking?" That one change can dramatically improve learning. The third habit is thinking slowly. This sounds strange in a world obsessed with speed, but many brilliant thinkers aren't fast thinkers. They're careful thinkers. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman explained this in his book Thinking Fast and Slow. He described two systems. One is fast, automatic, emotional. The other is slower, analytical, and deliberate. Most people live in the first system. They react instantly. They jump to conclusions. They accept the first answer that appears. Highly intelligent people spend more time in the second system. They pause. They examine assumptions. They question their first impression. They think before they decide. That habit alone prevents countless mistakes. The fourth habit is deliberate practice. This idea was popularized by psychologist Anders Ericsson. He discovered that experts don't simply practice more, they practice differently. Most people repeat what they're already good at. High performers target their weaknesses. They intentionally work on difficult areas. They seek feedback, they make corrections, then they repeat. It's uncomfortable, it's frustrating, but that's exactly why it works. Growth happens at the edge of your ability, not inside your comfort zone. The fifth habit is reading across different subjects. Most people stay inside one lane. Smart thinkers connect ideas. They read psychology, history, business, science, philosophy, technology. Not because they need all of it, because every field teaches a different way of thinking. Charlie Munger often talked about building a latticework of mental models. In simple terms, the more perspectives you have, the smarter your decisions become. A person who only studies one subject sees one angle. A person who studies many sees patterns. And pattern recognition is one of the most valuable skills in the world. The sixth habit might be the most underrated: protecting attention. Today, intelligence isn't just about what you know, it's about what you can focus on. Every notification, every short video, every distraction takes a small piece of your attention, and attention is the raw material of thinking. You cannot think deeply if your mind is constantly interrupted. This is why many highly productive people create periods of uninterrupted focus. No phone, no social media, no multitasking, just one task, one goal, one direction. For a generation surrounded by distractions, focus has become a competitive advantage. And finally, the seventh habit. They treat their brain like an athlete treats their body. Think about it. Would you expect an athlete to perform well after sleeping 4 hours, eating junk food, and never exercising? Of course not. Yet people expect their brains to perform under those conditions every day. Sleep strengthens memory. Exercise improves cognitive function. Good nutrition supports mental performance. The brain is part of the body. Take care of one and you improve the other. So let's return to the question we started with. Are geniuses born or made? The honest answer is both. Genetics matter, but not nearly as much as most people think, because potential means nothing without training. The smartest person in the room isn't always the one with the highest IQ, it's often the one who stayed curious, practiced deliberately, protected their focus, read widely, thought deeply, and kept learning long after
そうだな。
everyone else stopped.
そう
So
かも
stop
な。
asking, am I smart enough? Start asking, how am I training my mind? Because intelligence isn't a destination, it's a skill. And every day, through your habits, you're either strengthening it or weakening it. The choice is yours.